Welcome to another Learning to Read drum lesson. In this drum lesson we're going to be talking about and learning to play the eighth note triplet. We're going to be using the beat sheet called 3 Pies. You can get that at onlinedrummer.com. Again, you'll need that in order to follow along with this lesson. When learning a new type of note, it's important to come up with some way of counting that note. Like quarter notes we had 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth notes we had 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 16th notes 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Well, with an eighth note triplet, we're going to count an eighth note triplet 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. Take a look at line number 1. The first 3 notes that you see are eighth note triplets, and you'll see that they are connected with one beam just like an eighth note. That's why we call it an eighth note triplet. But they're also connected with a bracket on top that has a 3, and that indicates to us that it's a triplet. With the triplet, what you're doing is fitting 3 beats or 3 strokes into each count, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Playing a triplet is as simple as playing those 3 strokes evenly within a count. The whole first measure of line number 1 is played like this: 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4. It's easy to rush after count 2 on that quarter note because there's a long space after it compared to the triplets. 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4. So make sure you don't rush. Some people even count 2 and but don't play on the and, just as if they were playing a triplet, except they're resting on the and. It'd be like this: 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. That helps to keep time. In measure number 2, we have, for counts 1 and 2, 2 sets of triplets. And it sounds like this: 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4. Let's try playing all of line number 1 together, and remember the repeat at the end. We'll start with the right hand using alternating sticking, and on the repeat we'll begin with the left hand and again use alternating sticking. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3. 4 and a 1 and a 2, 3, 4. 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2, 3, 4. Throughout number 1, you may have noticed that I changed my counting methods on measure 2 into measure 3 because it's a little more difficult to keep time there where you have those 3 quarter notes in a row. I wanted to make sure I didn't rush, so I went from 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 back to the other method: 1 and a 2, 3, 4. Line number 2 is more exciting because it switches between the drum head and the rim. We're still going to use alternating sticking. Sometimes when you're switching between 2 different surfaces, it's easy to rush or get lost. Just keep in mind the counting: 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, and keep solid timing. That's very important. Before we play this through, I want to point out measure number 2. Measure number 2 starts with 3 eighth note triplets, and then it goes into count 2 with a quarter note. So just be careful there. You have a 1 and a 2 is a rest, 3 and a 4 is a rest. And again, make sure you rest for all of count 2 and wait for 3 to come in, and then rest for all of count 4 and wait for 1 to come in to play the next note. Let's play line number 2 together. 1, 2, ready, go. And a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4. 1, 2 and a 3, 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4. Start left. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4. 1, 2 and a 3, 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4. Line number 3 introduces some difficult patterns. If you look at measure 1 of line 3, you're going to see that count 1 starts with 2 eighth notes, and then count 2 has 3 eighth note triplets. With an eighth note, 2 beats or 2 strokes fit into each count, whereas an eighth note triplet, 3 strokes or 3 beats fit into each count. So you go from having an even number, the eighth note, the 2, to an odd number, a 3. It makes it difficult because the patterns they feel different. Just remember that with an eighth note, you fit 2 strokes or 2 beats evenly into the count, and with an eighth note triplet, you fit 3 evenly into the count. And counting is very important. The first measure would be kind of like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I want to take a look at measure number 2 just for fun. You go from eighth note triplets on the rim to regular eighth notes on the drum head, and then back to eighth note triplets on the rim, and then regular eighth notes on the drum head. Switching back and forth between drum surfaces along with different types of notes, eighth note triplets and eighth notes, isn't an easy thing to do. Just make sure you don't rush it. The more you do it, the more you practice it, the better you'll become at it. Let's play line number 3 together. 1, 2, ready and go, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4. Line number 4 has some even more difficult patterns. If you look at measure number 2 of line 4, you'll see that it starts with 2 16th notes that are connected to an eighth note, 1 E and the 16th note, 4 strokes or 4 beats fit into each count, and the eighth note we already discussed that 2 fit in, and then you go to an odd number like an eighth note triplet. It's difficult. 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 E and. Let's try line number 4 together. 1, 2, ready and go, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Start left. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Line number 5 isn't really as difficult as it looks. Basically, you have 3 full measures of eighth note triplets. So there's no switching up rhythmic patterns as far as switching between regular eighth notes and eighth note triplets. It's solid eighth note triplets. I think it's important to point out, if you haven't already taken notice to it, that in a triplet, when you're playing 1 and 2 and when you start on count 1, if you start with your right hand, 1 and the next count is going to begin with the left hand, 2 and the same thing for count 3 and 4, 3 and 4 and so don't get caught up into always expecting that the drum head on line number 5 will come in on a certain hand, because it switches with each count. Let's try number 5. 1, 2, ready, go, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Start left. 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. The most challenging part of line number 6 is switching between the different types of notes, between 16th notes into eighth note triplets, eighth notes back into eighth note triplets. So you really have to work with a metronome, make sure you're counting, and practice keeping the solid time. Let's try it. Line number 6. 1, 2, and ready, and go, E, and 1, E, and 2, and 3, and 4. 1, E, and 2, and 3, and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Start left. 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And there you have it. Those are eighth note triplets. Remember, the important thing with eighth note triplets is even spacing and keeping your time. So make sure that you're counting and practicing along with a metronome. Keep drumming.